As you will have noticed over the weekend, Arsenal won the North London derby. They beat Spurs by 2-0. Ian and Paul were watching. Delighted, I'm sure. Look, we built this up as, you know, a very difficult game for Arsenal.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
There's been so much praise of Tottenham so far already this season and over the previous 2 seasons, as Arsenal are reportedly in a decline, not going to win anything, finished below Tottenham last season for the first time since 1995. They're only a point behind them. So how big is the gulf in reality between Arsenal and Spurs?
I think there isn't really a gulf. It's just Tottenham are progressing, and they're progressing, and we're seeing it before our very eyes. We're seeing very good players, we're seeing a very good manager, we're seeing the stadium happening, and we're seeing them start to make a difference. It's not the typical Spurs like we used to see, and I think if it was, they'd probably lose tonight, you know. I thought the other day Arsenal took advantage of a Spurs side that started slowly. Harry Kane didn't look right. Delhi obviously didn't look right, and Arsenal started brilliantly. They started very, very quickly and put them under pressure. And I think that's what you have to do in a derby, and you know, because form goes out the window. Going into it, you have to say the facts. Tottenham were playing pretty well. You know, they got top players on top form. Eriksen's form was brilliant, coming off of what he'd done to Republic of Ireland and things like that. So, you know, you had to fancy them to give Arsenal a decent game, but Arsenal dealt with them pretty well. The closing down was exceptional.
And as much as Arsenal fans enjoyed the win, Paul, they've been slightly piqued as well because of the way that the Spurs performance was reported in that game. They said if Arsenal had played the way that Spurs did, they'd be absolutely crucified.
Oh.
If Mesut Ozil had played like Dele Alli did, he would have been slaughtered in the media. So are they right? Is there a difference in the way that Arsenal and Spurs are treated?
You could, you know, you just turned around and you said Arsenal are 1 point behind Tottenham now. Come on, that's not a yardstick for me. Tottenham have finished above Arsenal once in the last, what is it, 25 years, 23 years. That shouldn't be Arsenal's standard to finish above Tottenham. You know, that should be Tottenham's standard, and Tottenham have sort of turned that round. Arsenal need consistency. You know, we'll watch Arsenal in the next 20-odd games. In 8 of them games, they'll be mind-blowing. They'll play football like we go on about Man City playing football. Arsenal are up there with Man City on their day when they get going. But they don't do it all the time, and that's the problem. And, you know, when we say 1 point behind Tottenham, that shouldn't be the standard. That's where I think the fans are getting a bit mugged off, if I'm being honest, because it's been turned around now to, oh, we've got to finish above Tottenham. We're paying Arsenal fans are paying top dollar for their season tickets. Put top dollar players on the pitch. You know, it looks like Arsenal's best 2 players, Ozil and Sanchez, will probably go. And they're world-class. They're world-class. You see, the other day, Ozil's, he's head and shoulders above all of the Tottenham players. On his day, he's better than all of them. If Dele Alli plays his best-ever game and Ozil plays his best-ever game, you take Ozil all day long. You know, you would, but Arsenal set a standard, you know, and that standard's just dropped so badly that now everybody's talking about Arsenal finishing above Tottenham.
I think as well, you see what everybody there was saying now, I thought Mustafi was unbelievable the other day, and Ozil took the plaudits because they said that he was working hard, and, you know, it's something that you got to do, you know what I mean? He cost 42 million when it was a lot of money, you know, but the fact is that what we've got to understand with Ozil, when he's, 5 times out of 6 Germany's Player of the Year, he plays with good players. And when Arsenal don't play well against the top teams, Ozil doesn't play well against the top teams. Ozil's not the kind of player that drags a team up by his bootlegs and lets them beat a team. He needs players playing well around him. That's what happens at Germany. That's what happened in Real Madrid. And when they're doing that, he is the one, when you watch him, he's beautiful. He is the one that makes everything brilliant. Now, of course, you just want him to work a little bit harder. But in the main, I do not think that Arsene Wenger can get the best out of him. I think my biggest worry is, I'm with Mercer, I think they will both probably leave. But Ozil going somewhere like Man United, because if he goes somewhere like Man United with the players that they've got on form, he will light that place up, because that is the calibre of player he is. He's not the player who's going to, when the team's playing badly. If you've got players playing poorly in front of Ozil, he ain't got nothing to it, and he's not going to play well. But if you've got players around him, he will play well, and he will be brilliant, because he's a brilliant player. And I don't think that Arsene Wenger has, up to this point, got the best out of him consistently.
So you're saying that there's not a gulf, but there is a difference in the direction that Arsenal and Spurs are travelling. If they want to stop that, if Arsenal want to be on an upward turn rather than having these peaks and troughs, how important is it that they do keep hold of Sanchez and Ozil, that they move heaven and earth to keep them?
Well, they've got to. But
it's frightening thinking that them two not being there for me.
It's scary. A big football club like Arsenal to let two world-class players just run their contracts down. I mean, you know, they should have been offered new contracts with 2.5 years left on their contracts, and that's where it's mind-blowing for me. And you look at them, I'd be shocked if they're there next season, because if they go on a free, someone's going to put £25 million in their bank account.
With Ozil or Sanchez on frees, who's not going to try?
Who's going to take them?
Who wouldn't take them? Who's not going to take
I don't think,
Mesut
I don't
Ozil
think anybody in the world would not take them.
The thing about it is, you know what? This is like wishful thinking that he'd maybe run it down, you know, and then he'd stay at Arsenal. But can you imagine the offers he would have once these contracts run down? His agents, their agents are probably telling them now, you might as well just run it down now and see what happens. It doesn't make sense them signing a new deal. And that's what worries me, to see them playing to that level, knowing that none of them are committed to the club.
So could you be in a situation in the summer where Arsenal are competing with other teams for their own player's signature?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I think that's long gone. I just think that they're 50 million, 60 million pound players. At the end, next season, whatever club they go to, someone will put a £25 million cheque in their account because they don't have to pay anything for them, and that's cheap. That's cheap.
We've quite successfully turned a positive for Arsenal into a negative there and brought the whole tone of the conversation down.
That's how it is.
Still a great result.
That's a great result. Thanks a lot. But